Hey there, welcome to Pepper Geek. In this video, I'll show you how to save your own pepper seeds for planting next year. I'll cover everything you need to know, including choosing the right peppers to save your seeds from, how to properly remove the seeds from your peppers, cleaning and drying the seeds, and how to store the seeds for the best possible shelf life. I'll also cover some important differences between sweet peppers and hot peppers, and a few other things that are useful to know. To start off, let's talk about choosing the right peppers to save your seeds from. First of all, only save seeds from peppers that have fully ripened while they were still on the plant. So when you're choosing peppers off of your plants, make sure they've changed color to their final form from green to red, or in this case, from dark purple to light pink and purple. The reason for this is simple. Ripened peppers will have fully mature seeds inside. Also, while you can save seeds from them, I don't recommend saving seeds from your hybrid peppers. So if you bought hybrid seeds from a seed source online, I wouldn't recommend saving the seeds. The reason being, those hybrid seeds will be very unstable, and the plants you get from those seeds probably won't be exactly like the ones they came from. So it's best to save your seeds from heirlooms or open pollinated peppers. And lastly, it's ideal to save your seeds from isolated peppers, and this is a bit more advanced, so it's definitely optional, but I'll touch more on this a bit later. Okay, so aside from your peppers, what do you need to save seeds? For one, you'll need a nice sharp knife to open up your peppers. A spoon of some sort is usually pretty helpful. Some non-stick containers to dry the seeds in. I'm using a paper bowl and a plastic dish. If you're saving multiple varieties, it's very important to label the seeds. Once they're out of the peppers, you won't be able to distinguish them, so I just use a piece of masking tape and a Sharpie. And if you're saving any hot pepper varieties, definitely use a pair of nitrile gloves. This will prevent burns on your skin. And this comes a little bit later, but you will need something to store the dried pepper seeds in after you're done. So starting with step one, which is opening up the peppers, we'll use a nice sharp knife. And I find that regardless of the type of pepper, it's usually easiest to slice the peppers lengthwise rather than crosswise, because you'll get a nice good view at the placenta, which is what the seeds are attached to inside. I will be working with some hot peppers here, so I'm gonna put on these nitrile gloves now and leave them on through the end of the process. So make a nice clean cut along the length of the peppers, and the seeds should be along the top near the main stem there, all attached to the inside of the placenta. I do recommend working one variety at a time so that you're not potentially mixing up seeds as you go. So I'll start with this sweet blot pepper, get those drying, and then move on to the next variety. I've labeled this small dish with the variety and the date when I'm saving them, and I'll use that same label when it comes time to store the seeds. Now, a spoon can be useful. For this variety, the seeds are coming loose very easily there with the edge of the spoon. But sometimes I do find it's easiest to just go in there with your finger and open it up and let the seeds drop out. So now we have these seeds removed and ready to start drying. Now I'm just gonna clean up all the excess seeds that went flying everywhere when I was removing them. The other variety I'll be saving today is Shado Roxa, a Capsicum chinense, a pretty spicy pepper, so I'm glad I have these gloves on. And in this case, I'll be opening a lot of peppers and removing the seeds from all of them, but the principles are pretty much the same. Open up the peppers lengthwise, revealing the seeds inside. And in a case like this, where you're saving lots of different peppers, I recommend cutting them all at the same time and sort of batching each stage of the process. With all the pods sliced open, now I can move on to removing the seeds from all of them at the same time. In this case, again, I think it'll be easiest to use my fingers and just get the seeds out. While I'm doing this, the aroma in here is very powerful, and it reminds me of a time when I saved ghost pepper seeds indoors, and after saving about 100 peppers worth of seeds, the fumes from the peppers were causing me to sneeze and my nose was running. So if you can work outdoors or in a well-ventilated space, especially for super hot peppers like ghost peppers or anything hotter, that would be ideal. Another little tip that just came to mind, when you're selecting your peppers to save seeds from, try to choose peppers that look ideal on the plant. Some of the peppers on the plant will be larger than others. Some will taste a little bit better. So try to choose peppers that have the traits you're looking for and do a little bit of selective breeding while you're saving your seeds. Now, in the case of this sweet pepper, the seeds came out pretty clean, but these hot pepper seeds came out with a bit of placenta still attached to them. So if you wanted to, you could run them under some cold water in a fine mesh strainer and gently rub them to remove any of the excess pulp. But this is completely optional. Any extra pepper material that's attached to your seeds is not going to inhibit germination, so it's totally up to you. So with the seeds removed and into their drying containers, the next step is to allow them to dry. In order to store the seeds for the long term, we want to remove almost all of the moisture to prevent them from going bad. The easiest way to do this is to simply leave the seeds at room temperature and allow them to dry for 7 to 10 days. That's usually long enough in a typical humidity situation. If you want to speed that up a little bit, you can direct a small fan at them so there's a nice gentle breeze blowing across your seeds, or in a well-ventilated room. We get this question a lot though, can you use a dehydrator to dry out your seeds? The answer is yes, but to use some caution here. The most important thing is to avoid high temperatures when you're drying your seeds, so I like to set it around 90 degrees Fahrenheit to make sure it's not going to jump up any higher than say 100 degrees. 90 degrees is plenty warm to dry out your seeds, and with that circulating air in the dehydrator, it'll happen much faster. But today I'll just be using natural air drying and allow these seeds to sit at room temperature for maybe a week or so. So how do you know when your seeds are finished dehydrating? There is a simple test, it's called the crack test. You take a single seed, put it on a cutting board, and use a butter knife or another dull knife, and just come down on the seed, breaking it in half. And if it cracks in half, you know it's dry enough. If it squishes at all, that means there's still some water content in that seed, and it needs some more time to dry. After your seeds have completely dried, you'll want to store them properly. And for most people, you can just put them in a small plastic baggie or a paper envelope of some sort and put them into your pantry where they'll stay good for a year or two. Try to avoid very hot temperatures wherever you're storing your seeds. So if it gets hot in a certain room, maybe store your pepper seeds in a cooler location. But if you're looking for the best possible shelf life, low temperature makes a huge difference. Again, it's very important that your seeds are properly dried before doing this, but for the longest possible shelf life, you'll want to take your pepper seeds and put them in an airtight container like a ball jar. Add a food-safe desiccant packet like I have here to remove any excess moisture in that container, and then store it in the refrigerator or even the freezer. Now for most home growers, the refrigerator will be best because there is some potential danger putting your seeds in the freezer, namely that condensation can occur on your seeds, reintroducing moisture to them, and then the freezer can actually damage the seeds from there. So in the refrigerator, you're not really running that risk. The temperature is still very low, slowing down those biochemical reactions that cause the seeds to age and eventually become inviable. And properly dried pepper seeds can last for 5 years or even longer just in the refrigerator. Either way, if your seeds get to be a few years old, it's a good idea to run a simple germination test before you plan on growing them again. Just plant 10 or 15 seeds, see how many of them sprout after a week or two, and you'll have a rough sense of the germination rate and how reliable those seeds are. A couple of quick frequently asked questions we get around saving pepper seeds. Number one, can you plant your seeds fresh out of the pepper? Do they need to be dried first before planting? Absolutely, you can plant them fresh out of the pepper. They don't need to be dried in order to germinate. You could plant them in soil right away and they'll sprout. However, for storage, you definitely want to dehydrate them. That water content will cause them to mold and basically go bad much quicker. All right, quick break. We finally did it. We made our very first hot sauce. It's a Belizean-inspired recipe made in small batches with habaneros, carrot, ginger, and fresh lime juice.
We worked with Karma Sauce for over 2 years on this hot sauce, and we could not be happier with how it turned out.
We hope you'll try it, and if you'd like to, click the first link in the description below or scan this code to try it before they're gone. Another question we get is cross-pollination concerns. If you're growing many different pepper varieties in your garden right next to each other, if you're saving the seeds, there's a decent likelihood that those two varieties may have cross-pollinated. Now we have videos about this topic, which I'll link down below in case you're interested, but essentially you're always running the risk that the seeds you're saving from your peppers won't be 100% true to the original plant, simply because there is the potential for cross-pollination. There is a workaround here, which is isolating individual flowers on your plants, preventing cross-pollination and ensuring those plants are self-fertilized. Again, this is a bit more advanced, but we do have a video all about how to do this in case you're interested in keeping your varieties true. Since you made it to the end, I'll talk a little bit about this pepper, which has been sitting here for the entire video. This is a Cayenne Joe's Long variety, and they can grow to be about a foot or longer on average. I will be saving the seeds from this off camera, but let us know which varieties you're saving your seeds from this year. Thanks for watching Pepper Geek, and I'll see you soon.